Hello everybody. So like I mentioned in the other video, this is going to be your second video on data analyzing. So right here, you are looking at my screen right now. I have set up just some fake sample data so we can kind of figure out how we're going to analyze it. Now I want you to ask yourself for a second, when you see this, does this tell you anything? Just think for a moment, what does this tell you? Now, if this were me, I would say, well, it tells me that there were 10 trials and we had a distance of some sort. Now, I should have been more specific on my distance and put some sort of measurement. So let's just say this is centimeters. So in each trial, something went a certain distance in centimeters. All right, that's good and all, but that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. We just see the different trials. Now, in the second one, this might be an example of something like a survey. So we just see 31 individuals answered yes, and maybe 15 answered no, something along those lines. So we can see the numbers. How do we make sense of these numbers? So the first thing I suggest would be to make a graph. So generally before a graph, you would put it in some sort of order, but because this is just by trial, we don't really need to put it in any type of order because it's already in order. In this case, because we only have one answer for each side, so we either just have yes or no, we don't need to change how that looks at all. So I'm going to start with this because I feel that this will be the easiest to make a graph out of. So I think I want to insert on Google Sheets. Now you should pay attention to this portion because part of your assignment is using Google Sheets. So go to Insert and then go to Chart. Give her a moment. There we go. Now, my question to you, do you think this is a good chart? This is just a general bar graph. I would definitely say it works, but there are other options we can use. Now, one thing I would probably go for is a pie chart here. So, what is going on here? All right, I figured out what I did wrong. So this is a learning opportunity for all of us. So I am going to delete this chart, and instead I am going to go yes, no, 31, 15. All right, and then let's try it now. Insert the chart. Sometimes you have to play around with it a little bit, just because Google Sheets has a certain algorithm and you need to reorganize it. That is what I wanted. So now we can see how many said yes, how many said no, as if it were a pie. And the nice thing about Google Charts, Google Sheets, is it also gives us the percentage. Now there are a couple things missing on this chart. What are we asking is the first thing that I think of. So we do know that we have the yes and we have the no. But we need to add something. So the first thing I think of is we need some sort of title. Otherwise, we're not going to know what our chart is about. So I'll just put sample data yes for our example. Normally, this would be like, let's say I asked, like, do you like chocolate ice cream? That's probably what I would title this, and then we would just have yes and no. We don't need to change these. You can also go through and change the colors, etc., if your heart desires, but that is not something I'm going to worry about right now. So here is our sample pie chart. You could also do the bar chart if you wanted, but I would suggest a pie chart if it's something like this, especially in a survey. And to note, keep in mind how to do surveys because we might be using those later in class. So now let us go and do our second piece of data. So we have our trials and we have our distances. I want to show that off in a chart as well in order, there we go, to show the data. So we can do a line chart. You know, one thing I would almost suggest would be, let's see, where are they? We do a bar chart. So then we can compare all of our different trials together. If you can see, this one already gave me a title. For distance, I think I'd probably change this, but I'm just going to put trial data again. But a few things I want to pull your eyes to when we're looking at this chart. Distance in centimeters and our trial. We want to make sure these labels are here so we know what we are looking at. Also, so we know what units it's in this case, centimeters, and we don't need to worry about this because it's trial. And this way we can compare all of our trials. So those are our two basic examples that we can look at. Now, if we were to have something like time versus distance, I might have actually gone with that scatter plot. Because, let's see, I'll go to this. I'll change this to time. Let's just pretend this is time versus distance. Distance doesn't really make sense, but we'll just go with it. Roll with it for the example, please. Chart. So now we can say, okay, let's say this is a bad example because I didn't put any units, so we don't know what time this is. I'll plug in, we'll just say seconds. So 2 seconds, it was here, 3 seconds down here, 4. And this way you can track essentially the change over time, which I think is very useful when we do different experiments. But all of these examples we will do in class. I would like you to practice these on your assignment for this week. And you may ask me any questions at all when you have them. I look forward to seeing you in class. Have a nice evening.